Hi, everyone. I'm Emily from Artemisia Academy, and today we're going to be talking about how my struggles with mental health, perfectionism, and food issues has made me a better health practitioner. And so a lot of my students come into the program with this idea that when we're health practitioners, herbalists, massage therapists, psychologists, you name it, we're supposed to be perfect all the time. We're supposed to be enlightened. And since we know all the things we're supposed to do, we're supposed to do them all the time. And that is not actually how the world works. So I started my healing journey about 15 years ago, and I started out learning about massage because my back went out. And through that healing crisis, and in the holistic world, we talk about a healing crisis being something that happened to us, some sort of emotional, physical illness that happens to us, for us to learn better self-care and come to a better state of healing. And so my back going out caused me to get into massage and start looking and feeling and taking care of how my body works. The same has happened with my mental health too. And so I grew up a very happy, optimistic person. I'm very lucky that, most of my life I have, had a very sunshiny kind of temperament. But along my journey, right after herb school, I got very, very depressed. I finished herb school. I was like, yes, this is awesome. I'm finally doing what I want to do in my life. And I moved back to California and realized I couldn't get a job. I didn't have any money. All of my friends were, I was falling out of all of my friend groups, and my life's purpose was something that I thought was, I'm going to help people heal. And that's how this is how I'm going to make my way in the world. And I didn't realize that there is kind of a double-edged sword with that, is that the more that you want to help someone, the more you got to take care of you. And I had to learn that journey in a really hard way. I wanted to help people, but when I couldn't figure out how to, and when I felt like my community that I was a part of was falling apart and I was falling apart, I couldn't help anybody. And because I couldn't help anyone, I got severely depressed. I started losing friends. I started changing my life to get away from, I'll be really honest, most of my friends in my younger years were living off of a lot of alcohol. And I knew that I wanted to live a healthier way, but I didn't realize that that meant I had to end friendships or change friendships and change my lifestyle to really match that. And so I got into this huge depression spiral of, I'm not going to fulfill my life's purpose. I'm not making money as an herbalist. I have to go back to working at coffee shops. And, I couldn't figure out how I was possibly ever going to do all the things that I imagined I was going to do. And through that depression, I started learning about taking care of my mental self. And this happened along a bit of a journey of learning to do massage therapy along the way, learning how to help people, start seeing people as a practitioner, starting to see clients. And I remember I would wake up some mornings so incredibly depressed, I could barely get out of bed, somehow manage to put my clothes on and look presentable, and then go see a client. And after giving a massage or talking to someone about their food, all of a sudden I felt better. And it's just the amazing, the ups and downs that happened, that as soon as I was of service and living in that moment of feeling like I was truly fulfilling my calling, instantly my life and my attitude changed. And so in the world of holistic medicine, Western herbalists believe in vitalism, and vitalism is this practice that, instead of healing being the ultimate goal, our ultimate goal is to help our clients get closer or get back onto their journey, whatever it is their calling in life is. It's to help them pursue their calling, and through being on that journey, they will get into a better state of health. And so that's exactly what happened with me, is that I figured out that, I want to help people. And when I was helping people, I took better care of myself. And when I wasn't in my path, or felt like I wasn't in my path, I was eating terribly. I was hiding. I was binging off of food. And so I actually learned through my journey that I have a sugar addiction, food addiction, and just how people have to go through withdrawals with alcohol. I have gone through many withdrawals with sugar, and I go through cravings where I can't handle it. I'd almost want to murder somebody over sugar, just because the craving is so intense. And so I have found that you know, my struggle with sugar addiction, my struggle with binge eating food when I'm stressed are all ways of putting myself away from the feelings that I have within of whether or not I'm okay with me, whether or not I feel like I'm on my path or in my purpose in life. And so this thing comes up called imposter syndrome. And if you guys have heard it before, you might be able to raise your hand and say like, yeah, that was me. Imposter syndrome is where you feel like a phony or a fake person because you're not practicing what you preach. And I remember when I was in, teaching in a massage school, I was teaching nutrition and holistic studies. And yet I go home every night and binge off of sugar, knowing and just having done a talk that sugar is terrible for you. I would still go home and binge off of it because I couldn't help it, because I was so upset over so many different factors in my life and couldn't face those feelings that I was hiding in my sugar and in my disease. And so through going through this back and forth, I was constantly afraid to tell people that this is me, that this is the real me. The real me is I'm not perfect, is that I have ups and downs, that I go through depression, that I go through anxiety, that I hide from the world when it's too much. And eventually along my journey, I started doing classes with some after school moms, and they were some of the coolest people I've ever met, because all of a sudden I found my people. I always thought that being an herbalist, I had to look great, I had to eat perfectly, I had to do yoga all the time. And here are these after school moms that are like, oh yeah, I totally do that stuff too. Oh yeah, I'm totally imperfect too. And suddenly this big aha happened to me that I'm allowed to be me, and that people actually love me more for being really real and sharing my struggles and sharing my journey, my ups, downs, woes, awesome failures. And through that journey, I get healthier and I get to help people too. I get to be myself and help people at the same time. And so I think it's really important to know that as herbalists and healers, we aren't perfect people. We don't have to be perfect all the time. And we're allowed to forgive ourselves for being imperfect and for being very human, and to have unhealthy coping mechanisms from time to time too, because unhealthy coping mechanisms is just like a stepping stone of your body getting through the best way it can until it learns something better. And sometimes we go back and forth in this journey. It's not oh, I figured it out. It's a journey. And so for those who are getting into healing or have already been an established healer and have dealt with imposter syndrome, or that just internal struggle of, I feel like I'm off my path and everything's falling apart, all I want to say to you is that you're probably exactly on your path. My path has not been a straight line. I think the healer's journey is not a straight line. It's the spiral, the ups and downs, lefts and rights, because that's what life is. Life is a process. And I think the more sideways waverings my path has gone, the more tools I have learned to be a better practitioner. And if I had just figured it out instantly, then I wouldn't be able to walk people through how to deal with sugar addiction, how to deal with depression, how to deal with anxiety, how to deal with, getting in and out of unhealthy relationships and having boundaries. All of these lessons I've learned have been tools in my toolkit as a practitioner to better help people through their journeys. So instead of being perfect, I get to be very imperfect and let those lessons be learning points for my clients as well. So if you guys are interested in learning how to go on that journey and give yourself the self-forgiveness and give yourself the pat in the back and the little baby cheerleading steps that you have to go on to find your journey. That's exactly what we do in our Herbal Apprentice program, is we help people through one little baby step at a time, learning their own self-care, putting self-care first, learning how to focus on their own healing, because through that experience, that's how you're going to help others with their healing. So our herbal apprentice program is starting up in just a little bit. So if you guys are interested in checking it out, check out the links below. And then also for those who have a passion for mental health like I do, we have a scholarship fund, our JAM scholarship, or Jeffrey Arthur Miller Scholarship Fund. A dear friend of mine's son passed away a few years ago due to mental illness. And their parents started a scholarship fund to help fund students like you guys to find your way in holistic health and healing if you've struggled with mental illness yourself or know someone that has. So we like to pass it on, and we like to make sure that, you know, despite your background, despite what you've struggled with, that you have a pathway to find your path in healing too. So if you guys are interested in donating or applying to the scholarship, we'll have our information down below too. But otherwise, I thank you guys so much and look forward to sharing more of my journey with you later on. Thanks, guys.